Hi, I'm Kimberly Nicoletti, and we're here at Raitman Art Galleries with Rolinda Stotts. And we thought we'd talk about creativity since it's the new year, it's January 3rd, and wanted to know a little bit about how would you define creativity, first of all?
So I love the idea, and this is my favorite part. Kimberly is so good at this. We have this amazing connection where we just kind of riffed off of questions, random ideas. But the philosophy of creativity and how would I actually define creativity is in probably like four stages. I really do believe that there are four phases of creativity: inspiration, observation, translation, and then distribution or sharing. But what's so cool about this whole exchange in humanity is that when we actually share or distribute something that we have made and created, it actually sparks inspiration. And that in between place, that moment where distribution and inspiration meet, that's co-creation.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the human experience. Everything around us is being co-created.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, tell me a little bit about when somebody looks at art or buys art from an artist, what is that connection like? What is that sparking in terms of connection?
So I think this is really cool because beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? Everyone is drawn and attracted to different things. And it's like this beautiful matchmaking experience where what we're trying to do is create love
Uh-huh.
and life. I know, yeah. And that's where the artist does their job, right? In the studio, they make something and they put their whole soul into it. And then they present it to the world and they're like, ooh, please like me, somebody. Or at least that's how I do it. I don't know most artists. I shouldn't speak for all artists. But and then when that magical moment happens where somebody says yes, not only I can't live without this, but I'm actually willing to exchange my gifts and talents, my all the work that I've done to make money and give some of that money to you so that we exchange these gifts and talents. That's an incredible experience and it is very, very life-giving. Like, I think one of the things I love the most about being able to come to Raitman Art Gallery and be here with the collectors is to watch what happens for people when they actually see my work on the wall and touch it and have that experience of inspiration.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they pause and they observe and then they start talking about it or asking questions, and that translation part happens whether they take the painting home or not.
Mm-hmm.
A gallery is a beautiful place to come and be inspired.
Yeah, and there's this rich process when you look at art or you live with art or just come visit it. You get in touch with feelings or emotions or ideas that you may not have known were there, and they come up for you. Tell me a little bit about how art helps somebody live a more vital life, live a deeper life.
I think actually our surroundings are absolutely critical. We cannot control the outside world. Absolutely not. We can barely control the world within our four walls, but we can choose what's on our walls and what we listen to and what we see and what we engage in. And that is a very conscious choice for hopefully all of us, right? What are we surrounding ourselves? And if you wake up in the morning and you're laying in bed and you look at your wall and you have this beautiful painting that inspires you to want to get out of bed and go do your magic in the world and live your fullest life, that's a huge opportunity for you to choose what you wake up to
Mm-hmm.
every morning. And so to be part of that as an artist and actually like help somebody create a very vital life, that's a huge opportunity of joy for me personally. But to have that exchange, I really do think art in general is the thing that elevates all of us
Mm-hmm.
and does help us go from that place of existence to being alive.
Yes,
And
yes.
so, yeah, that's a really good question. And that's something that would be fun to even dig deeper
Right,
into. Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, how do you nurture your own creativity?
Ooh, that is actually a full-time job.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think we could all dig deeper into that question as we move into this new year. Because creativity, when we're engaged in the creative process, we are alive. I believe it's the second greatest power we possess. And when I wake up in the morning, I am so intentional about how I choose, how I spend my time, what I look at, what I listen to, and how I move my body and what I eat, even. Like, I know what things actually make me feel physically good and what things make me feel really crappy. And I choose the things that make me feel good so that I can then show up at the studio fully engaged. The other thing that I think is really interesting that just popped into my mind is in order for me to show up at the studio and give my complete focus to the creative process, I actually have to kind of clear the deck first. And I don't know how other people do it, but I have to take care of all the problems first. Like, get rid of the loose ends and address that thing and take care of that thing and take out the trash. And then when I show up, all of the baggage is off of me and I feel lighter and freer. The other really huge thing that I'm very intentional at is getting out in nature. That is a huge source of inspiration for all of us, right? It is really easy to just step outside, breathe in that fresh air, and just look at what's going on around me. That's incredibly inspiring. But that's a huge job. Like, to get inspired, you can't just. I think sometimes inspiration can just stumble upon you. You just. But I think a lot of it's like preparing yourself to be inspired.
Well, I'm curious too about clearing the problems. If I spent the day, I would spend the day clearing the problems, and then I wouldn't really get to the studio. How do you clear?
Yeah, so there are a couple of different things, and there are moments in my studio journey where first thing, and like my husband can attest to this. I'll actually be at the studio at 3 a.m.
Okay.
And do a session of work early in the morning before anybody is awake.
Okay.
There's something so magical about those early mornings where everyone else is asleep. So there is also that. But I know, me personally, if I show up at the studio and I have something that I haven't taken care of that's urgent, it will niggle at me. And it's like, I don't know, this background noise or program running on the computer that's eating up all the energy that you're trying to do something else, but the program's going and it's like sucking that dry. But I think you have to at some point say, no, now is my time to create. And I'm going to set everything aside and I'm going to be intentional and I'm going to focus. And this creative experience becomes then a meditation.
I love that idea.
Yeah.
Art is meditation. That's beautiful.
Yeah. And when you get in that flow state, time disappears, problems disappear, everything disappears. In fact, I have to set alarms so I make sure I actually get home on time if I have appointments.
And so what would you give in terms of tips for people to bring more creativity into their life, to make more space for it?
I think this is an interesting topic, making space for creativity. It has to be intentional. We can't just fumble around in life and rushing. You actually do have to make it a special, sacred time where you're going to invite the muse, look for inspiration. And inspiration can come from anywhere. Like, it is incredible watching a movie or talking to a friend or driving down the road. Inspiration can come from anywhere. But then the question is, are you going to do anything with it?
Right.
And that's where we have to make the space. Are we going to do something with it? And there is this big conversation right now. If you're not making money, then why bother doing it? And the reality is, if we don't take time for creativity, we will lose our humanity. And we will lose our soul ultimately We need creative adventures personally, each of us, and it's going to look very different. Your creative adventure is going to look very different than Kimberly's or my creative adventure, but find your own thing that really speaks to you and just poke around and have fun with it and see what happens. But you have to make time and space. And that is one thing I talk to people that are makers of things. If you can dedicate a little corner or a table that you don't have to put stuff away and that's also private, because you don't need judgment from the outside world. There is a time and a moment for distribution and sharing. But until you're ready for that moment, you really don't need other opinions involved in the creative process because it's private, it's yours. Savor it, enjoy it, let it nurture you as you nurture it.
Yeah.
And when it's time to share it with the world, start with a safe place, right?
Right. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I think with that, we'll end. I love that idea of how you have to create space, you have to commit to it. You just can't let the inspiration come and then think the inspiration is going to take care of it all too, right?
Yeah.
Like, you have to actually act upon it, and it is nurturing your soul. It is nurturing your vitality. It is being a human being. So
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks. This was really fun. Thanks, Kimberly.
Thank you.